Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. This is JB.
And I'm Chandler, and this is the Unbiased Hard Take.
And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, me and JB, it's our favorite time of the year. It's Pro Bowl week. Yay, so exciting. However, first, me and JB are going to wrap up Conference Championship week. So, JB, what's one topic from the Conference Championships, NFC title game and AFC title game that you want to talk about? Let's go ahead and wrap that up here.
Well, for starters, it all looks so well when the 49ers and the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions looked fantastic. Fantastic. In the first half, they had literally everything. It's like they couldn't even answer. The 49ers could not answer anything. And it was to the point of, I thought they were going to win it all. But second half happened and they just couldn't stop nothing. And I think it was based off of, for some people, it would think that it was the lack of going for it on fourth and short. And no one could contribute when I think it was like 3 fourth down conversions that they tried and failed, and they were in field goal range. So I like the go get it mentality, but at that point you're in a playoff game. That is a regular season type of attitude that should be you should have. And yes, but if you're in field goal range, take the field goal. Just take it. But all in all, it was a really good game. Chris McCaffrey had 2 rushing touchdowns. Elijah Mitchell had 1 touchdown. Brock Purdy threw for 1 in and 1 interception. Jared Goff also looked good. He had 1 touchdown, 273 passing yards. And David Montgomery, Jamar Gibbs, and Jameson Williams all had 1 rushing touchdown. David Montgomery had 93 yards. Jamar Gibbs had 45, and Williams had 42. So all in all, everyone, both the Lions and the 49ers, had a fantastic game on both ends of the ball. I think it was just the lack of going on fourth and down on field goal range that kind of screwed them over, in my opinion. So that's all I got.
We're going to stick to the same game here because I'm going to talk about the Lions and Niners game. I am so happy that the Lions have now also been eliminated once again. The Lions, for another season, still have never played in a Super Bowl, and I'm so happy. I understand.
Better than the Packers did this season.
Before. That's fair, and it's very fair. But the Lions' misery, I will always root for. Yeah, the Lions had a better year than the Packers. Ain't denying it. They're the better team. But hey, check the trophy cases. We got 13 of them bad boys. Got 4 Super Bowls in different eras. The Lions ain't got no Super Bowls. Nothing. Nothing in the Super Bowl era at all for the Lions. So,
I would probably
happy to say that.
I would probably give the Lions the next year. They're going to the Super Bowl next year. The way this is Dan Campbell's 3rd year as a head coach, and he brought the Lions to the NFC Championship in his 3rd year.
Oh yeah, we'll get into award predictions later, but here's a sneak peek. He's definitely top coach of the year. Be able to get the Lions not only to the playoffs, but win a playoff game, and then make it to the NFC Championship game, where they haven't been in 1,000 years. It seems like they haven't been there a long time, really, really long time. So to get them
time.
there, outstanding coaching job. Ain't denying it. However, I am so happy our rival is out. It's like the little brother. You know what I mean? The little brother, he's barking at you, you know? They're still that little brother. So, Lions, glad to see you're out. With that, I'm going to talk about Brock Purdy. So, the narrative of Brock Purdy is not a top quarterback can now go away. Because, yeah, he didn't play well in the first half. Yeah, he had an interception. But when it came down to it most, he pulled it through. He's gotten a lot of flack for how he's performed when he's down or things aren't going so well. They're down by 7 to 14 points. People say he crumbles, and there were some stats that said that. But Sunday in that NFC title game, they could have rolled over and lost. They were down by multiple possessions. But then that third quarter happened, that fourth quarter happened. Brock Purdy was not only making plays with his arm, he was making plays with his legs too. I'm looking at the stats right here. I watched the entire game. Brock Purdy added 48 yards in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He was making with his legs. He was going off script. Things weren't going so well, and he performed when it mattered most in crunch time. Last week I said I think that's what it ultimately will come down to. The Niners have been there before. The Lions haven't, and it showed in the second half. The Lions, it seems like they almost scared themselves. They were up by so much, and then it almost seemed like the lights were too bright. The stage was too hot. The stage was too big. They hadn't been there before, and it seems like they shrunk in the moment. The Niners, down by that many points, pulled through, and they showed what a true collective team they are, and were able to pull through the win. The Niners are my Super Bowl pick. They're not only winning, but they're winning unconventionally. They're showing that they can do it any sort of way. So is Kansas City. So truly, it's probably the best Super Bowl we could have asked for because these two are obviously the two best teams in the league. So Brock Purdy is a top quarterback in the league. The narrative of he's not can now go away after that second half performance. That second half performance, they put up 17 points in the third quarter, 10 points in the fourth quarter. And the week before that in the divisional, Brock Purdy led a game-winning drive against Green Bay. These last 2 weeks, he's done it back-to-back against really good football teams both weeks. Brock Purdy is that dude. And he's a Pro Bowl quarterback this year. And he made the Super Bowl. Man was the last pick in the draft. Mr. Irrelevant. 2 years in the league, and he's already a Pro Bowler and in the Super Bowl. Elite.
Yeah.
That's all I'm wanting to say. Comment down below. Do you think Brock Purdy is elite? I do. I will say that Brock Purdy is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, this year he was
That's
a
my
lot better than Patrick Mahomes.
I mean,
With
yeah,
less attempts.
this season now.
With less
Yeah,
attempts.
this season, yes. I would still take Mahomes over Brock Purdy, but for the season, absolutely. From start to finish, you're right.
But no, I
However,
think the script, the NFL script wanted this to happen. Because I mean, honestly, there are plane tickets. There are plane tickets to Taylor Swift's concert to Las Vegas already. Right when the, Kansas City won, there's already tickets to the Taylor Swift concert to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Question: do you think the NFL is rigged?
Yeah, I do believe so. And honestly, the way that the Chiefs have played this year, honestly, they shouldn't even be in the second round or past the second round.
I mean, they did have the second best defense in football and had a double-digit winning season and won their division. So I mean,
Barely.
Yeah, but still,
The way
season.
that the stats does not show that they are 11-16. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Not on the offense. You're correct, 100% on the offense. It definitely doesn't. But that
Even
defense
the
was second
defense.
rated in. It's the
Honestly, even
second
the
best defense.
defense. They shot the bed against the Lions the game one. They shot the
Yeah.
bed against the Broncos. The Broncos when they were terrible. Honestly, the Broncos had a chance to be going 0-18 that year, but they didn't. But still, they shot the bed against the Broncos. They shot a bed against the Eagles. Honestly, see, where's the others that they should have lost to? They should have lost against the Broncos the first time when they went 19-8. They should have lost against the Vikings. And even the Jets. They barely won against the Jets. And the Jaguars.
And you're right. But look what they've done against high-end competition. In the regular season, they held Miami to 14 points. Miami was the top-rated offense in the league. And then in the playoffs, in the wild card round, they held the top-rated offense with Tyreek Hill to 7 points. And then look what they just did to Lamar. They made Lamar look ordinary. They made him look like Robert Griffin III out there because they held him to 10 points. And that offense, they turned the ball over multiple times. The Ravens did. The Chiefs forced multiple turnovers. So the Chiefs do it when it matters most. Even going back to November against the Dolphins then.
Yeah, but I mean,
They're just
Lamar's still. I do believe Lamar is Lamar, regardless of how he played that game. Because he went 20 for 37, 272, one touchdown, and that one interception that was controversial because everyone thought it was pass interference before the interception called. Which, in my opinion, it was. But at the same time, he shouldn't have thrown it in triple coverage. Yes, because I think the only reason why he did that so that he can get that call. Because that's most quarterbacks do is when if they try to get that call is when they're trying to throw it in tight coverages. Because if they see that there's pass interference, they throw the ball right there to try to get it. And that Lamar did what every quarterback does, but he did not get that call. And to me, that's why I think the NFL always wants Kansas City in the Super Bowl is because of Patrick Mahomes and the Travis Kelce duo. Because honestly, and also that game, Travis Kelce, when did he put up 116 yards this season?
Yeah, and really, he had a down year
He
statistically for him.
never did. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, all of a sudden, he magically got 116 yards. I mean, I'm not hating on the Kansas City. I am not. It's just I think it's dumb that the NFL and the NFL fans always wants to see Kansas City in.
Well, you have to think against the Chargers, he had 179 yards this season, and against Denver, 124. He had a lot of pedestrian games at the end of the season, though. That's a lot of the issue. 16 yards against Cincinnati, 28 yards against New England, stuff like that. But early in the season, I mean, really, he was lighting it up, and that's against two division rivals. So to me, I don't think the NFL is rigged
I
because
think it
the
is.
big thing was the logo conspiracy theory. We have like the logos and the teams, and that was broken. I think people are going to always say the NFL is rigged. If the Chiefs would have lost and the Ravens would have made it, they'd have been like, "Oh my God, the logo! Oh my God, it's correct. The NFL is rigged." I think
They're
someone's
3-for-1 right now.
someone's always going to say it's rigged. So I don't think there's not a win-win. Kansas City wins, people say it's rigged. Baltimore wins, they're going to say the logo conspiracy. Which have you seen that? I'm sure you have.
Mm-hmm.
That people are going to say the logo conspiracy was real. I think it's a lose-lose. I think sometimes people just have a hard time losing. Now, I don't want Kansas City to win the Super Bowl. I don't.
No.
But you got to consider this too. There hasn't been a team repeat in over 20 years. That's a long time. So for that, I don't think the NFL is rigged. Otherwise, they would have rigged it for Dallas to beat Green Bay because that would have bought more viewership on the TV. I
I
think
don't.
Dallas moving on
I
would
don't
give
think
them more
so.
viewership.
I don't think so. Dallas is a train wreck. They always seen Dallas as a train wreck
Oh yeah,
in the
they're
beginning of the
absolutely.
playoffs. They always been, and I do believe they always will be. It's the Dallas
You're right.
Cowboys. If anything can go wrong, Dallas Cowboys can do it.
Oh, you were 100% correct. That's my point, though. Because they are such a dumpster fire, it's not rigged. Because I think if the league was rigged, they would rig it for Dallas because it brings more money in. They're one of the most popular teams out there. Now, so's Green Bay, but Dallas brings in a lot of money. So Dallas would definitely have a couple Super Bowls since '95, in my opinion.
No, I don't think. It's just the way that they're always are, and what Dallas Cowboys are is. I don't think it. I don't think the NFL wants to see a Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl.
So, sounds like me and you were opposite on that take. So, let's let the viewers decide. Comment down below. Do you think the NFL is rigged? Do you agree with JB? Or do you agree with me? And why? Now, me and JB get to move on to the most important game of the season. Everyone needs to mark their books down because it's
Don't
Pro
mark
Bowl
it.
week. And and as promised last week, we're going to talk every game. We ain't missed a game this season, so we ain't going to start now. However, the rules are this will not count against our playoff standings if you want to say their standings. So you look last week, JB was 0-2. He had a rougher week. I was 2-0. So on the season for the playoffs, JB is now 8-4, and I'm 10-2. So both of us winning records, nothing on the line here. So this is just for JB. Who do you got in the Pro Bowl games? The flag football. Only going to predict the flag football game only. We'll talk more Pro Bowl. But JB, who do you have in the flag football game? The NFC versus the AFC in some flag football.
AFC. Next question. This is.
AFC. I told y'all this is JB's favorite week.
Oh yeah.
JB's not fond of the Pro Bowl. Go ahead, tell us why,
Ever,
JB. Tell
ever
us why you're not fond of it.
ever since they took out the hard hitting aspect of the Pro Bowl, and that was the most fun way is for the players to actually play the game the way it's meant to be played. And they just took it out. And also where players don't want to tackle this and that, and they just run around the field. And it's like, no, like this is the Pro Bowl. Everyone wants to see hard hitting football. Like I want to go back to full shoulder pads and just go back to Sean Taylor nailing the quarterback, or was it no? It was the kicker. It was the kicker or the punter. Yeah, it was the punter. I keep going back, but yeah, when he just nailing a guy, and Ray Lewis coming up hitting a guy, Troy Polamalu. It's like that was football. It's like this 22, 41, 35. And then 2018 was 24-23. I think that's when they started doing captains. I forgot one year they started having captains, but that was dumb.
This is the second year that Peyton and Eli Manning will be the captains for the AFC and NFC. Obviously, Peyton Manning spent his career in the AFC and Eli in the NFC, so they represent their respected conferences.
Yeah. So, but I do believe we should just go back to hard hitting football the way that is meant to be played and not a injury free game. where it's only 50 yards a field, not 140.
You
I hate
know,
the Pro Bowl. I love the Pro Bowl games. Don't get me wrong. The way it was back in the day where they started having all this competition, I do believe that they're bringing some of them back or majority of them back, so that's good. Like the quarterback throwing, um, all that type of stuff. I do like when they brought in the kicker tic tac toe. That was pretty fun. The dodgeball, get that out of here. Just get that out of here. They don't no. Do something that deals with football. Unless you're using football as the dodgeballs, then yes, go right ahead. Peg him in the head. But no, take that dodgeball out of there. I don't want to see it.
you know, I'm proud of you. You ended with a positive take because you're right. The Pro Bowl used to have a lot more respect on it. Players formally said that it used to be an honor. You are in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are you in the National Football League, but you've been voted an All-Star. You've been voted one of the best in the league. So they used to go out there and try. They used to go out there and hit. Now, obviously, they never hit as hard as they normally do because you are aware of injuries, but they respected the
It's
game,
part of the
the
sport.
integrity of the. Yes, they respected the sport. Now, it's a thing called integrity of the game that no matter what, you always go out there and try your hardest. You try to win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's how sports work. But you try to win every time. You give it your all. And as time went on, more money was being made. Players started making business decisions, opting out of the Pro Bowl,
Because you're
which
in
is
the Super
happening again
Bowl.
now. Right. Or you're in the Super Bowl,
in
things
that in
like
that way,
that. So
I do kind of make sense of because they trying to get ready for the Super Bowl and they don't want to go to the Pro Bowl, and I do kind of see it because they're trying to get their mindset ready and they don't want to be on a vacation that day. So I do kind of see why they want to opt out to the Pro Bowl. And yes, but they probably want to say
yeah,
thank you for nominating me for the fans because it is a fan voting thing. But they're trying to get ready
right.
for the Super Bowl.
And that's a lot of things too, because like Brock Purdy and Pat Mahomes made the Pro Bowl. They're both still Pro Bowlers. They don't lose that honor. They just
Hmm.
have replacements who are now also given the honor. So replacements this year, actually for the AFC, are C.J. Stroud, which is an outstanding pick, deserving, and then Gardner Minshew.
Mm. He did
Okay,
okay.
whatever, whatever. That's a little low ball for me, and that's a lot of the reason why people don't like the Pro Bowl as well. Some of these kind of borderline guys maybe shouldn't make it, end up making it because of people who opt out, stuff like that. So the NFL had no choice but to totally revamp the Pro Bowl. Do you remember how bad it was at the end? When it was still a tackle game at the end, they weren't hitting at all. It was an embarrassment. It was embarrassing.
Trying to play
So the
two-hand
NFL
touch with
had to do.
full pads. That's
Yeah, it was. It was embarrassing. So the NFL had to do something. I think they have. I think they've done the best they can. You put it in Florida. You put it in a beautiful state. You bring in the competitions back, like you said. They have precision passing. Excuse me, precision passing, the best catch, dodgeball. It's whatever. Okay, I applaud the effort. I agree with you. Get rid of it. I applaud them trying. Moving the chains where the offensive linemen do their competition is cool. The kick tack toe is cool. So they have added a lot of really cool stuff. I'm gonna watch Thursday night. I am. I'm gonna watch the precision passing in these competitions, and I'm gonna watch the flag football game. I am because the players. It seems like last year they actually tried. Flag football annoys me. It's not real football. So for that, I hate it. I hate that. Bring back real football. It's not flag football. It's the NFL.
go to Hawaii. Bring it back to Hawaii.
Yes, it's. But the players tried last year. It was at least interesting. I'll probably. I'll tune into it. And with that, I'm picking the NFC. Because my Packers are an NFC team. This isn't really a serious game. So I'm repping my NFC. Kenny Clark, also, by the way, was a Pro Bowler this year for the Packers. So representing my pack. So Kenny Clark out there as an alternate. He had an outstanding season. I have my stats right here to kind of give some Pro Bowl numbers here. So Kenny Clark, 3-time Pro Bowler now, had 7.5 sacks, 44 tackles, career high in sacks for Kenny Clark. Love our defensive tackle in the middle. So with that, rooting for the NFC. Hopefully they get the win. Not super big. Just hope it's interesting. Hope it's cool. Hope the players try. That's my biggest thing. If they try and they're giving an effort, I'm cool with the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
So B's going AFC. I'm going NFC. So we shall see, and we'll wrap up the Pro Bowl next week. However, now me and JB are going to talk some serious football. So JB, the Super Bowl preview. The Kansas City Chiefs are facing the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. JB, what's one headline what's your Super Bowl take this year? What's your thoughts on this year's Super Bowl matchup? No predictions yet. We're not making predictions yet. That's next week. But what's your overall thoughts on the matchup?
Well, it is what it is. I mean, it's going to be a good game regardless. Hopefully it's not the one year that Patrick Mahomes had a horrible game where his line couldn't block at all, and Patrick Mahomes tried to do everything that in his power, and then nothing could happen or nothing happened. Hopefully, it's not one of those games, which I'm pretty sure it's not going to be. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game regardless. So, all in all, I'll give it a B plus.
Why not an A? Is it because same old, or is it a certain thing?
It's the same old aspect of it. It's once again Kansas City magically got into the Super Bowl again. Is to me, it's just feels like it's a repeating. It's a repeating year once again. So it's I
And
don't know.
Neither one of us would be surprised because when we made our preseason predictions, I had San Francisco winning it all, and you had Kansas City in the Super Bowl as well. I can't remember who you had winning it, but I remember you had Kansas City in it. So me and you were pretty much spot on all season long, truly. I'm gonna give this Super Bowl an A minus. I'm gonna be a little nicer than JB. It's not an A because I agree with you. I would actually give it an A if the Lions made it. I would just want the Lions to lose to Kansas City because I never want to see the Lions or anyone in the NFC North, for that matter, ever hoist the Lombardi. That is named after our legendary coach, and to have a rival lift it would make me sick and disgusted. I can't even fathom that. That is the Lombardi Trophy, one of the best coaches of all time. So there is something to be said, though, for the fact that it is same old, same old. I get that. It's always interesting to see clarity in the league, but there really has been. There hasn't been a defending champion repeat in over 20 years. The last one to do it was the Patriots in the early 2000s. So me and you haven't seen a back-to-back winning championship ever in our fandom of watching football. We became fans in 07, if I remember correctly, or it was 06 or 07. So me and you in our fandom of football have never seen a team win back-to-back, ever.
Mm.
So it's going to happen eventually. I'm not making my Super Bowl pick yet. We'll leave that the next week, so I'll drop that there. But the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, he's the best running back in the league. Brock Purdy, the Pro Bowl quarterback. You have Ayuk, and you have Debo, a good defense, elite coach. So the Niners, they were the best team in the NFC all season long. This is not a surprise. They ran through everyone. Chiefs, they've dominated teams for years, but they did it a little differently this year. Number 2 ranked defense, the offense kind of struggled throughout the season. With drops, Mahomes' stats were down. Kelsey didn't have 1,000 yards for the first time in over 5 years. So the offense struggled, but they're still getting it done ugly. Mahomes, has proven he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, the dude's always in the Super Bowl. When the playoffs come, he's clutch. Unlike Lamar, we'll get into that here in a minute. But when it matters most, no matter how much he struggles, Mahomes finds a way. So I'm really interested to see this game. I think it's going to be a really good game. I am excited for this Super Bowl, which you are off work for, which is very nice. We will be celebrating that together. So we can analyze that. So,
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
however, speaking of Lamar, me and JB are going to dive into that topic now a little bit. Because Lamar Jackson has struggled in the playoffs mightily. JB, looking at this, Lamar Jackson is 2-4 in the postseason. Do you think Lamar chokes in the playoffs, or do you think it's circumstantial with coaching, other things contributing, or do you think he shrinks in the playoffs?
I really don't think he shrinks in the playoffs. I think it's his team around him. Because if you've seen that fumble of Zay Flowers, where he was diving for the end zone and he fumbled by Ladarius Sneed. In that circumstance, that would have been a tied game at that point, if everything falls through and everything be 7-17 in overtime. But he was, how should I say it? He didn't know his surroundings that well. He just held on with one hand, with one arm, and expecting someone to pop it out. And sure enough, it got popped out. So, and I do get it. He is a rookie. He has much to learn. He is a baller. He even came up with 5 catches, 115 yards, and 1 touchdown. So he is a true baller, but he needs to protect the ball in that type of way. And like I said, it's his team around him that also needs to contribute more. And like I said, Lamar did his Lamar things that game. He caught his own pass. He did I do believe everything that he could to even bring back his team, because he had the most yards in that game by his team with 54 rushing yards, but nothing on the ground really worked for him and in that favor. But I mean, he still had the longest rushing yard with 21. Excuse me. So I mean, he had over 300 yards total. But like I said, there's a lot of controversy with that pass throwing in triple coverage, even though he's seen that there was a pass interference call, which he thought that they were going to call, but didn't. To me, that's how I looked at it, because I looked at the review slowly, and he did get knocked to the ground before the defender caught the ball. To me, that is pass interference, regardless of being in triple coverage, because it still kind of should have been caught. Isaiah Likely still had a chance to get the ball, but he got knocked over so he did not get a chance to try to fight for the ball. So to me, that's pass interference. But no, it didn't work in their favor, sadly. But I don't think it's not even that. And plus also his defense. Literally, the defense really didn't hold anyone. Like Travis Kelce, for example, 116 yards. And I heard like a stat line. When Kyle Hamilton is guarding a tight end. They only had like 20 or 35 yards total, and he got over, I think it was like almost closely up to 100 when Kyle Hamilton was guarding him. So, I mean, and with that one touchdown that he got, it was on Kyle Hamilton, and he just, I don't know. I think that's also, and plus he's also young. It was under a big limelight on him. So I mean, it is what it is. But I think it's just the whole team aspect around him that actually kind of chokes in that kind of circumstance.
No, we have opposite takes. However, I will give you this. The fact that the Ravens, who are one of the best rushing teams in football, only gave the ball to their running backs a combined 6 times. 3 for Gus Edwards and 3 for Hill. 6 times, that's it. And at no point were the Ravens losing by a lot. So they didn't even abandon the run game. They just didn't run the ball at all. And you're one of the best running teams in the league. Stop pretending Lamar Jackson is a pocket passer. He's not. I'm not knocking him on that. He is not a pocket passer. He's not Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. He's not going to stand in there and throw the ball traditionally. He's a running quarterback who can throw as well. He's always been that way. So why they're only running the ball 6 times is unacceptable. That's horrible coaching. That's a horrible game plan, no matter how you dice it. However, I do think Lamar chokes a little bit in the playoffs. I don't think he chokes to a massive degree. I mean, he does have some playoff wins. He has made it to the AFC Championship game now. So Dak Prescott is the ultimate choke artist. Dude's never made it to the NFC Championship game. You get blown out. But Lamar Jackson, who's probably going to win his second league MVP, I got some stats right here for you that are kind of embarrassing. 2-4 in the postseason. His completion percentage in the postseason is 57.4. That's Jamarcus Russell bad.
Yeah.
57.4% completion percentage in the playoffs. 75.7 rating. That's average. 6 pass touchdowns, 6 interceptions, mid 500. But total, he has 9 total touchdowns, including rushing, 6 total turnovers. For us, one-time league MVP, probably want to be 2. Multiple-time Pro Bowler, so one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the league, and you're doing that in the playoffs. 10 points in the AFC Championship game at home in your building. 10 points.
Yeah.
Not good enough. Not good enough. He needs to give some of that money back to the Ravens because of the money they gave him. He did not earn in that AFC Championship game. To me, he choked. I think it's fair to say that Lamar Jackson is not a big-time quarterback. He's not a playoff quarterback. Now, neither was Peyton Manning early in his career. He struggled. He lost many times, and many times to Tom Brady. Kind of like Josh Allen's lost many times to Pat Mahomes. Here's the thing about the NFL. It's not a best-of-7 series. It's one game. You can change the narrative. If Lamar goes out there and wins the Super Bowl next year, we're all going to forget about his past playoff failures. Kind of like Matt Stafford. People always said Matt Stafford can't win big games. He went out and won a Super Bowl. One time.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've forgotten about all of it. The point is this. You can change the narrative. You can still change it, Lamar. Ball's in your court, but as of right now, 7.4 completion percentage, 2-4 record, 9 touchdowns, 6 turnovers. Not good enough. Not a playoff quarterback at this time. He's an elite talent. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Not denying it. But playoff time, numbers speak for themselves. Man, some Lamar hate from Chandler. Dang. And that's disappointing because last week I said I would take him over Josh Allen. And I still would. I'm not backing down from that. Give me Lamar over Josh Allen. But all those nice things I said about Lamar last week have now totally flipped this week. So However, me and JB are going to flip over to the world of the NBA here real quick. So JB, not a topic I've been looking forward to talking about. I've actually thought about this earlier in the day, how I'm not looking forward to this moment. However, we must talk about it. We can't hide. The Miami Heat are on a massive losing streak of 7 games. JB, we've kind of talked about their slide and the Terry Rozier trade a little bit. JB, how worried are you about the Miami Heat right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 1 being not worried at all, 10 being fire everybody. What's your worry level?
Right now I'm at a 6 right now. Because even though
6.
we are tied with Orlando right now with 24 wins, 23 losses. It's just we're not playing Miami Heat basketball, and it is very, very frustrating right now because I'm looking at when we played against the Suns. Terry Rozier, I think this was his first time starting with him being in the starting lineup. But let me double check to make sure. Okay, so it was not. He did start against the New York Knicks as well. So he has been in the starting lineup. And right now, it's not looking good. Not looking good for anybody right now. Because going back to the Suns game where we lost 118 to 105. It's we're not even shooting fantastic. Field goals 39.3%. 3.38.9. I mean, at least we're doing one thing right, is free throws. We are 100% that game, which that's good. God, something's itchy on my neck. I mean, you can see on my camera, but we're not shooting the ball really well, and this is what troubles me the most. Because right now, Highsmith went 1 for 3, 0 for 2. 1 for 3 in field goal, 0 for 2 at 3-point. Jimmy Butler, 7 for 12 field goal, 2 for 2 at 3-point. Bam Adebayo, 3 for 9. He had 8 points. 8. And he's supposed to be one of our best bigs. He had 11 rebounds and a steal and 3 blocks. So he's doing stuff defensively. But at this moment in time, we need him to do both. We really do need to have him in both. Because going 3 for 9 on the field, it's not you, Bam. That is not you. And especially Tyler Hero. And I even said this before we started. Actually, I didn't say this. You said this. I think we should at least have Tyler Hero in for one more season and see how he develops. Because he was lighting it up during the postseason. And I think I thought he was going to have a great year this year. And now I'm eating my words. He is not.
He's having a good year.
He's
The problem
off.
is he's not getting any better.
He's off this year. The way that he played last year, looking at this year, he went 5 for 18 in field goal, 5 for 12 at 3-point, where we need him the most is at the 3-point line, and he went 5 for 12. And Terry Rozier, he had a better game. But it's still, he had 21 points though. He went 4 for 6 at 3. Our second best percentage wise when it comes to 3-point, with Jimmy Butler with 100%. But he went 8 for 14 in field goal. So, and then Kevin Love. I'm sorry, dude. You're washed. I think we should get rid of him, just like Kyle Lowry. He was old. He's washed up. Yes, he is good at passing the ball when he gets the board, but he's washed. I think we should just get rid of him. Either just get someone younger and more efficient, but we need to get rid of him. He went 0 for 4 and everything. Duncan Robinson, he only had 4 minutes and he went 0 for 1.
That's what bothers me. I think he should be a starter, and I'll explain when it's my round.
And I think, and when I seen that we got Josh Richardson back, I knew that it was not a good decision, because the way that he left us, he sucked. He literally was like, that's why he left. That's why we got rid of him, because he sucked. And now look, we got him again. And guess what? He still sucks. And our rookie, out of all people, he was doing amazing this season so far. And now this is his first game. I do believe this is his first game that he went 0 for 6 and 0 for 4. He only had 2 points, 1 steal, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. In which, by the way, we had 11 turnovers this game. And he had 3 rebounds. I mean, I think we're in a massive slump right now, because everyone else is shooting a lot better than us. It's getting ridiculous.
Do you think we'll miss the playoffs?
I mean, honestly, if we keep this up, I mean, we will probably win games here and there, but if we keep this up right now, 100%, we will be missing the playoffs.
Now, I guess what I'm saying, do you think we will? Do you think we'll come out of it? Do you think Spo can get a hold of it? Jimmy can get a hold of the Bam can get a hold of it? Do you think the team's going to get a hold of it, or are you to what you thought? We making or missing this year?
I do believe we'll be in the play-in. The very last seed of the
think
play-in, and we're going to lose. I do believe we're not going to make that magic run happen again. Because the way that we're playing now, we got skunked by the Celtics. The team that we were supposed to be head-to-head with. And the way that they played us, 143 to 110. Even the Knicks did a lot better than us. I'm naming off all the games that we lost. Hawks, we should have won. Magic, we definitely should have won, but we shot the bed. Grizzlies, we shot the bed. I do believe we should have won against the Suns, but we just couldn't hit the bright side of a barn that game. We couldn't even hit anything. The only thing we hit was free throws. The Raptors, we shot the bed on that game. But the Hawks, out of all the other teams, we lost by 1. I don't even want to go into the box score on that game. But I mean, we're sucking right now. and this is the longest or the losing, probably one of the worst slumps that we've had in years.
Oh, it is. I have it right here. This is the longest losing streak the Miami Heat have had since 2008. We finished that season 15-67. Now, obviously better than that this year. We've already proven that.
Mhm.
But so JB has the Heat getting to the play-in and losing the play-in. I do not. I do at this point think we're probably going to be a play-in team because Indiana is playing better than us. New York's playing better than us. Cleveland's playing much better than us. However, we were a play-in team last year. My panic level's a 4.5. Hold on. No. 5. My panic level's a 5. It's the longest losing streak since 08. This is not a normal losing streak. And we're not just losing games. It's not like we're losing by 1 or 2. We're getting obliterated at times. Obliterated. We're losing by double digits. At one point, we were almost down by 30 points at the Suns. We shot 34.3% from the floor.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible. However, right now we're still the 7th seed. We're still the top play-in team. We still are 1 game above 500, so we're still a winning team. I'm not going to try to overreact past a 5 right now. Eric Spoelstra's a Hall of Famer. He's an NBA champion. We have the same core. We have Bam. We have Jimmy. We have Tyler Hero. They've all been to the finals. So we know the team can do it. And not just for one season. We've been to the finals twice with this group. In the playoffs every year. I don't think it's going to change. I think we'll still be in the play-in. I agree with you. I think we'll be in the play-in. I think we'll win in the play-in and ultimately make the playoffs. Now, where we go from there, we got a lot of work to do if we want to make a run. A lot of work to do. We got to figure it out fast. Otherwise, I think we'll get in either way. If we don't figure it out, though, we're going to lose the first round. Maybe even get swept in the first round of the playoffs if we don't figure this out. That's why my level's a 5. And I think a lot of that is we're trying to please everybody. Here's a hard take. Tyler Hero should come off the bench. He was the 6th man of the year at one point, and we were playing great basketball then, and he won 6th man of the year. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make a lot of money and have a really good career being the 6th man, maybe even win some championships. But there's no such thing in the NBA anymore as teamwork, because you look right here, Tyler Hero's a starter. And you know what he had the nerve to say? That quote, trying to sacrifice how I play to fit the team. Yes, Tyler Hero, I think, is actually having a good season. Personally having a good season. For the team, he's not. He's not being a good teammate. He's averaging the most points he's ever averaged in his entire career. Right now, he's averaging 21.5 points a game. That's a career high for him. So, he's having a good season for him, statistically. He's a starter. Terry Rozier's been starting. He needs shots. He wants shots. He's a playmaker. Jimmy Butler's going to get his. How about Bam? There's too many hands in the pot, but one basketball. Someone needs to sacrifice and come off the bench. It could be Terry Rozier. It could be Tyler Hero. But one of those two needs to come off the bench. We went on a winning streak when Duncan Robinson was in the starting lineup. Do you know why? Because he can shoot threes. He can hit threes. Yeah, he's inconsistent at times, but he can hit threes. We were on a winning streak with Duncan Robinson in the lineup. It was actually a past a 5-game winning streak earlier in the season. And he only got, you said, 4 minutes against Phoenix?
Yep.
Why? He's a starter at one point, and now he's playing 4 minutes? Here's why. Because now there's only a certain amount of minutes. You can't play everybody. So now Rozier needs minutes. Tyler Hero wants minutes. He's making comments in the media about sacrificing for the team. People are getting frustrated. Spoelstra needs to go in there and say, this is how it's going to be. One of you is coming off the bench. If you don't like it, don't play. It's a team effort. And obviously, we're sucking right now because longest losing streak since 08. We won 15 games that season. This is not Miami Heat basketball. Miami Heat basketball is Heat culture. Work hard. Sacrifice for the team. And we are not doing that.
Well, I think I know the reason why Duncan Robinson had 4 minutes that game. The Heat placed Duncan Robinson on concussion protocol on today.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, but he still hasn't been starting games. Put him back in the starting lineup. You need a spark off the bench. That can be Rozier or Tyler Hero. It probably makes more sense. It would be Terry Rozier because Tyler Hero is going to get a hurt ego, and then you're going to have bigger problems at that point. So I would personally probably have the best thing for the team is to have Tyler Hero come off the bench. But realistically, with egos and all that, you know how people are these days. Terry Rozier is our best option to come off the bench realistically. Someone needs to spark the bench because we're not getting enough. And bam, 9 points against Phoenix, not good enough. It's the whole team right now. We got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried that'll go 5. I think we'll still be in the playoffs though. However, me and Jordan, thank God that topic's over. Because me and JB called you Jordan on the podcast. That was weird. All right. So me and JB here are going to move on to the world of award season. Because NFL Honors is coming up. We're now 2 weeks away from the NFL season being over. So, me and JB are now going to predict our MVP winners and other award races as well. Time we've all been waiting for, JB. Who is your league MVP?
And the nominees of the most valuable player is Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, which I don't know why he's in there. He's nominated, and Brock
It's a regular
Purdy.
season award.
Yeah, which honestly, they should have swapped with Tyreek Hill and Dak Prescott. To me, that is a lot better option for the nominee for the most valuable player because he almost beat the record. And I think it was by 1 yard. I think.
Well, that injury, the game he missed, kind of hurt that, and then getting hurt in the Tennessee Monday night game as well.
Yep. So he almost had it, but I don't see the reason why Dak Prescott is even the most valuable player. But to me, I think it's going to go to Christian McCaffrey. He had an incredible season, legitimately an incredible season. He's all in all the best running back in the league. I think he had like 14 or 15 touchdowns this season.
14 rushing, correct?
14 rushing. Probably I don't even want to know how many receivings because I don't have his stat line in front of me, but I know it's almost 30 total. I think it's almost 30 or close to 30 touchdowns total.
Well, he had seven receiving yards. Receiving touchdowns, excuse me. So over 20.
Yeah, so over 20, probably close to almost halfway to 30. So that's why I'm giving the most valuable player to Christian McCaffrey. So congratulations, Christian McCaffrey. You got my most valuable player award.
And now sleep tonight. Because the unbiased hard take is undisputably here going with Christian McCaffrey. Now, I want to start with saying this. It's probably going to be Lamar. It really probably will be. And it bothers me deeply. Lamar Jackson, yes, I know it's only a regular season award. They don't count the playoffs. I get it. However, one's in the Super Bowl, one's not. Christian McCaffrey's in the Super Bowl. He had 2 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game and shined. Over 100 total yards. He didn't have 100 rushing yards, but he had 100 total yards rushing and receiving, 2 touchdowns. When the lights got big, McCaffrey showed up, Lamar shrank. So I know that doesn't count for the MVP, but take that information as what you would. So, looking at the regular season, Lamar Jackson didn't have 4,000 passing yards. He had 24 pass touchdowns. That's less than Jordan Love, and he wasn't even a Pro Bowler for some reason. And 7 interceptions. Lamar Jackson ran 5 touchdowns in. That's 29 total touchdowns. Dude didn't even have 30 total touchdowns. That's less than Jordan Love again. Is anyone talking about Jordan Love as the MVP? No.
Nope.
Neither Jordan Love or Lamar Jackson made the Super Bowl. So let's not act like Lamar has this big playoff success. We talked about that earlier. So really, what statistically tells me that he should be the league MVP? Oh, he was the number 1 seed. Well, so was the Niners and Christian McCaffrey, who was my league MVP. Because you look at Christian McCaffrey, like I said, 21 total touchdowns. He's the league leading in rushing this season. 1,459 rushing yards, 564 receiving yards. That's over 2,000 total yards. This man had over 2,000 total yards, JB, and over 20 touchdowns. And they're in the Super Bowl as the 1 seed. And people are going to give it to a quarterback? If people think he's not, I'm going to get mad. Because if people think a quarterback is the league MVP this year, their football IQ is ignorant. If you think Lamar is the league MVP, you don't know football. You weren't watching this season. I don't care who you are. Christian McCaffrey, the wins, the Super Bowl this season, the numbers. What more people want? Why is it always got to go to a quarterback? I'll leave that there.
It shouldn't.
Now, I'm gonna be a little nicer this time because now me and JB are gonna move to the Offensive Player of the Year. JB, who do you think should be Offensive Player of the Year?
And the nominees for the Offensive Player of the Year are Tyreek Hill, Lamar Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, which I don't see the reason why CeeDee Lamb is even on that list. There should be more people that should be on that list. Anyways, Christian McCaffrey and Dak Prescott, and which I could see why Dak Prescott would be Offensive Player of the Year. But I am going to pick Tyreek Hill as the Offensive Player of the Year. So congratulations, Tyreek Hill. You got my Offensive Player of the Year award.
It's a good one because he led the league in receiving, and they were the number 1 offense in the league. However, I'm going to be a little nicer to Lamar here. I'm going to give Lamar the Offensive Player of the Year. Not denying Lamar had a good year. So people who think I'm hating on Lamar this episode, I'm really, really not. I'm just giving the facts. Numbers are right here in front of us. I have them all right here. So, looking at Lamar, yeah, they were the number 1 seed. They did get to the AFC Championship game. It's the first time the Ravens have hosted the AFC Championship game as Baltimore. Great year. I ain't denying it. I mean, he had over 4,000 total yards, 821 rushing, 5 rush touchdowns, 24 pass touchdowns. 29 total touchdowns, great year. His completion percentage in the regular season was 67.2. That is very efficient. That's a good completion percentage and a QBR of 102.7. So I'm not denying Lamar's greatness in the regular season. Outstanding season. Absolutely deserving of Offensive Player in the Year, in my opinion. Just not league MVP. He is not the most valuable player. Offensive Player of the Year, though, I'm going to give it to him. All right. This is the one JB's been waiting for. JB, Defensive Player of the Year. I know it's Myles Garrett, isn't it? Who do you got?
No. So, the Defensive Player of the Year nominees are Darren Bland, which I don't know why he's even on this list. He did nothing. Only won for 1 game. He broke the record. Good job. Anyways, Max Crosby, which also I don't see the reason why he's even on this list either. Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, and TJ Watt. And I'm going to give the Defensive Player of the Year TJ Watt because he's number 1 in every single category. Number 1. And everyone thinks it's Myles Garrett. Where's Myles Garrett on that list? Oh, I think he's number 3. Michael Parsons is at 2, and he is not even close to TJ Watt and his numbers. He's a sack leader. He's a tackle leader. He has an interception. He has a fumble recovery for a touchdown. What does Myles Garrett and Michael Parsons have? None of that. None of that. Max Crosby doesn't even have that. He's not even close to TJ Watt and his athletic ability. Yes, Max Crosby, he is a fantastic player, but he is not even close to TJ Watt and his capability. And everyone else is going to say, well, he's a linebacker and he's defensive end. Listen, he's been rushing almost every single play. He's never once went into, or he barely, probably like once a game, he goes into coverage. And that interception is when he was rushing the quarterback. So don't give me that. Don't give me none of that. No. TJ Watt is number 1 in the defensive category. He is the best defensive player in the league, regardless of who he is, who he's facing. Any offensive line, he has to be double, triple covers, and he has to be held every single game. And guess what? He's still number 1 in sacks. And the league does not call the holding calls because it is TJ Watt. He gets like I said, he gets double teamed and triple teamed, and he still gets held and he still gets the sacks. And I'll still say this: the reason why we lost against Buffalo Bills, because he was injured, because he didn't play. I'll say that because Myles Garrett played, and guess what? He was nowhere to be found. He only had 1 QB hit. He barely had a tackle. He didn't even get a sack. He had nothing that playoff game. So, and if TJ Watt played, I bet you money he would have gotten sacks. He would have gotten tackles. He would have had everything. So yes, defensive player of the year, TJ Watt. So you have my vote. You have my award for the defensive player of the year.
And you have mine as well. Now, yes, he's a sack leader at 19, easily the sack leader. Max Crosby did have more tackles. He had 90, and TJ Watt has 68. However, with the sacks, 19 compared to 14 and a half. TJ Watt had more tackles than Myles Garrett and more sacks, and TJ Watt had more tackles and sacks than Micah Parsons. So yes, TJ Watt, with being the sack leader, is absolutely the defensive player of the year. It's really truly a no-brainer. I mean, you said it yourself. Yes, Max Crosby is an elite defender. I think he deserves on this list. I think personally, Max Crosby is second. I would give it to Micah Parsons and then Myles Garrett. All of them had great seasons. I'm not denying any of their greatness, but TJ Watt definitely stands out from the rest. Here's where Garrett, Parsons, and Crosby are. Here's TJ Watt. They're all great. They're all elite. But TJ Watt is just better than all of them. He just is. 19 sacks, sack leader. Will be a Hall of Famer, probably.
I would. Oh, he's already a Hall of Famer at this point.
Right.
I mean,
well,
he
yeah,
already has
longevity.
this is his
Longevity.
most consecutive season where he had, I think, almost 20 sacks a game, or 20 sacks total.
Well, he had 22 and a half in 2021.
Yeah. So I mean, for having a consecutive seasons where you could have over 10 sacks. So,
and he's already a defensive player of the year in 2021, multiple seasons with double-digit sacks. So my thing is, for being the Hall of Fame, though, you got to have some playoff success in Pittsburgh to be a Hall of Famer. That's my opinion. Green Bay is no different. Dallas is no different. You have certain teams you have to succeed in the playoffs to be a Hall of Famer. I need a little more playoff success from Pittsburgh to see a Hall of Fame, but the stats are absolutely there. The dude's a beast.
But yeah, you gave a very small diagram of where TJ Watt and everyone else is. Because I'll say, here's everyone else. Here's TJ Watt. Way up. The camera can't even show it. I mean that's how of a beast that he is. And honestly, I do believe TJ Watt is better than his brother.
Yes. Yes, J.J. Watt is a Hall of Famer himself. He'll go down as a Houston Texans Hall of Famer. But his brother's better. You're right. Longevity, though, I need to see a little more and a little more playoff success.
I do believe it's going to happen or is going to be. Because I still keep saying this, we're a few weapons away. We're a few steps away. And this year, I do believe there's a lot of going to be releases that are going to be happening this year.
Well, the Steelers president recently came out and said, now I'm paraphrasing, that they need to have more playoff success. So there is that. That's my paraphrasing. That is not a quote. So, JB, we're going to move on to some rookies, my friend. Some rookies. Who do you have as offensive rookie of the year?
So, the offensive rookie year nominees are Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Puka Nacua, Bijan Robinson, and CJ Stroud. And to me, I'm going to give this is a very close award, but I am going to be giving it to CJ Stroud. Just because of look what he did with the Texans. And he is only of course, a rookie because it's the Rookie of the Year award. And he was phenomenal through more than half of the season. He didn't even have a turnover. And he was already in double digits in passing touchdowns. So if that's saying anything, that kid is going to be something. So that's why I'm giving this award to CJ Stroud.
We are 100% on the same page. And in normal circumstances, I think Puka would probably be the Rookie of the Year because he broke records himself for a rookie receiver. So Puka over 1,000 yards, broke the rookie record. Outstanding season. But on the other list, Sam Laporta had a great year too, but he didn't quite have 1,000 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't quite have 1,000 yards either. So CJ Stroud, to me, is obvious pick here. He won the division. Houston was a laughingstock last year, and they had the second pick in the draft, man. They were a disaster. He went out there and had 4,108 yards, 23 pass touchdowns, 5 interceptions, won the division, won a playoff game as a rookie quarterback with a defensive rookie head coach. Undisputedly, the Rookie of the Year. Puka, no disrespect, but CJ Stroud's going to have a Super Bowl in that Houston trophy case before it's over with.
Oh, yeah.
Texans have a bright future. CJ Stroud is the Rookie of the Year.
And I do believe, I know you don't want to hear this, but the Lions have a very strong future as well. I do believe they're going to be holding the Vince Lombardi trophy here in the near future.
Oh, boy, do I hope you're wrong. And with that, we're going to continue talking about rookies here because we're going to move on to the defensive side of the ball. So, JB, who do you have as your defensive Rookie of the Year?
So for the Defensive Rookie of the Year nominees are Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Joey Porter Jr., Kobe Turner, and Devon Witherspoon. To me, it is a very hard decision, but I'm non-biased. I'm going to be giving it to Joey Porter Jr. because was a lockdown unit. He locked down too many good receivers. Too many. And for that's why I'd be giving it to Joey Porter Jr.
More Houston Texans left from me because I'm giving it to Will Anderson. And Jalen Carter was a good second to me. Jalen Carter had 6 sacks on the season. And Witherspoon had a good year too, 79 tackles. But 7 sacks for Will Anderson Jr. He had an outstanding season. He had more sacks and tackles than Jalen Carter did. So you take that to the fact that against Houston, he was their second first round pick. People forget that as well because it's not as sexy as a pick as a quarterback. But Will Anderson was a first rounder as well in the draft, and he went out there and had a baller season with 7 sacks. Texans made the playoffs. I'm going to give it to Will Anderson. He had an outstanding rookie season. The Texans really nailed their top draft picks last year. All right, here's the controversial one, JB. Comeback Player of the Year. Who do you have, JB, as Comeback Player of the Year?
So the comeback player of the year's nominees are Joe Flacco, DeMar Hamlin, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, and Tua Tagovailoa. I cannot pronounce his last name, so that is a good hit for me. So, but for me, I really want to see Baker Mayfield get this award because he had an amazing career or amazing year this year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I mean, it was an amazing year. Joe Flacco, he didn't play enough, in my opinion, but he put the Cleveland Browns back in the playoff spots. But he did shot the bed when he was in the playoffs. So, to me, Joe Flacco is not on my list, but I'll be giving it to Tua. Just because he came back after that horrible concussion. We thought he was not gonna. I even thought that he was not gonna play anymore. But he came back and he put Miami Dolphins offense to a number one offensive team that this year. So that's why I'm giving it to Tua.
And he led the league in passing this season and passing yards.
Yep.
So let's look. No, I'm not giving it to DeMar Hamlin. I understand. He almost died on the football field. And he's probably going to get the award because it's the politically correct thing to do. However, from a football perspective, he is not the comeback player of the year and does not even deserve to be on this list, considering he's a backup and barely plays at all, except when he's screwing things up. All he does is screw things up. Because, I mean, you look, when the Bills were losing, they lost, I forget who it was to, but they had too many men on the field. DeMar Hamlin was the reason that happened. They ran a fake in the playoffs that helped get them eliminated.
Fake punt.
DeMar Hamlin ran that play. So what has exactly football-wise he come back from?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing, yeah. I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad he can play football again. He made the roster. But let's not lie to ourselves. We all know in the back of our minds, when behind closed doors, the non-political thing, it's the correct thing. To me, Joe Flacco was the comeback player of the year. Joe Flacco, I'm looking at this right now. They took the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. The Browns, who had 5 different quarterbacks this season because Deshaun Watson is injured. I've talked about that previously. So, Joe Flacco, who with the Jets last year.
Again.
Right. 5 touchdowns last year. Year before that, 3 touchdowns. Year before that, 6 touchdowns. The year before that, 6 touchdowns. Joe Flacco ain't been good since 2018. It is now 2023, and he led the Browns to the playoffs. QBR 90.2, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 1,616 yards. I get it. A lot would argue that he didn't play enough, but when he did play, the dude was a baller. A touchdown in every game, was having comeback victories, had 3 touchdowns in 3 of his games. Joe Flacco coming off the couch, old, getting the Browns to the playoffs. That's impressive, man. 300 yards in every game he played except one. And that was against the Raiders where he had 254. But other than that, over 300 passing yards in every game. Joe Flacco, man, coming off the couch, no one wanted you. People thought you were washed. To do what he did is hard and impressive. So give me Flacco.
I mean, Kurt Warner was bagging groceries.
Now he's a Hall of Famer and a Super Bowl champion. That's my point. Joe Flacco, man. Good story. And lastly, JB, Coach of the Year.
Well, actually,
Who
there's
is
one
your
more.
Coach of the Year?
There's one more award, but we're gonna go with the Coach of the Year. So the Coach of the Year nominees are Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, D'Amico Ryans, Kyle Shanahan, and Kevin Stefanski. Stefanski.
Dear Lord.
Like I said, I'm not good with names, so that's the best it's gonna get. So for me, it's either going to be Dan Campbell and D'Amico Ryans. Just because of those two teams and their of a team's jeopardy. Yes, Dan Campbell has been in his third year. His second year, he brought the team to 9-8. But now I'm probably going to be giving it to D'Amico Ryans, just because he brought that team to, I don't even remember what record they were last year, but they had the second pick of the draft. And he brought them to winning the division and actually winning a playoff game. So, with a rookie quarterback, and they did not have their full weapons because Tank Dell was injured at the middle of the season, and that kind of hit them pretty hard, but they still fought and they still did it. So to me, D'Amico Ryans, with a hard battle of the Dan Campbell. So Dan Campbell, or not Dan Campbell, D'Amico Ryans has my award for Coach of the Year.
And everything you said is correct. If D'Amico Ryans wins the award, I will not be upset because he's an outstanding choice. However, I started out with some Lions hate. I'm going to give him some love here. I think it's Dan Campbell. I think it's neck and neck. You could argue either one.
It'd be
But
either
Dan
or for me.
Dan Campbell, the same thing. I mean, the Lions have never won the NFC North. The last time they won it, the Colts were in our division. And he got him a home playoff game. He won the division. And he had him within minutes from the Super Bowl. Had him in the NFC Championship game. The Lions. First playoff win in over 30 years. To be able to do what he's done with Detroit in a very short amount of time, I mean, he has the Lions relevant. They're NFC North champions. It makes me sick to my stomach, but they won a playoff game. They were this close to beating the Niners. Dan Campbell, man, is the Coach of the Year. Too many fourth down. He goes for it a little too much on fourth down, in my opinion. But he did it in the regular season, and he did it in the playoffs. So I mean, he's got balls. He's consistent. He has the Lions on the map, man.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Dan Campbell.
That's why I say that sooner or later, the Detroit Lions are going to be getting or be holding that Vince Lombardi trophy, because the way that they played this year, just think of the future. If they make the smart plays and picking up the smart or the players that they're missing, man, that team is going to be trouble. If they can keep this team around, because this team is young and they're young and they can do it. So if they can keep the team as the way that what they have now, and adding more talent and more veterans, man. And there was a news that came up with the Detroit Lions. Their offensive coordinator said that he's going back to the Detroit Lions because he has faith in the Detroit Lions. So he's not going to be a head coach. He's staying as an offensive coordinator, and he's going to be staying for the Detroit Lions.
I hear you. Detroit definitely looking good. But not if my Packers have anything to say about it. And I'll end on this note: how Matt LaFleur is not a candidate for Coach of the Year is abysmally robbing. Because
Oh,
Matt
and Mike
LaFleur-
Tomlin.
and
And Mike Tomlin.
Right. So Matt LaFleur had the youngest team in football. He not only led them to a winning record at 9-8, but he led them to the playoffs and a playoff win with the youngest football team in the NFL. Youngest team to win a playoff game. How Matt LaFleur is not a Coach of the Year candidate is absolutely absurd to me. I'll end on that. But that's all we have for today.
There's one more award. There's one more award.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
What I miss?
The Assistant Coach of the Year award. It's still an award, so we have to go over it.
Fair enough. JB,
So-
I did not do any research for Assistant Coach of the Year. So I'm going to let you lead this one.
So, the Assistant Coach of the Year awards are Ben Johnson, which most people won't, some people won't even know what teams they are, so I'm going to say the teams. So, he is the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Mac McDonald, defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. And Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Jim Schwartz for defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, and Bobby Solowik, offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. To me, I am going to be giving this Assistant Coach of the Year award to Ben Johnson because of way that they played he been coaching the offense side for the Detroit Lions is amazing. And it's amazing what they did. So that's why I'm giving my award to Ben Johnson.
You know, I like it. You have the sexy pick, the offensive coordinator who put the Lions on the map. I'm going to go a little rougher here. I'm going Jim Schwartz. Truly the defensive coordinator for the Browns. The Browns had the #1 defense in the league this year. They started 5 different quarterbacks. If I'd have told you when the season started, the Browns started 5 different quarterbacks, how many games would you think they win? What, 2 or 3?
Yeah.
They didn't. They were a double-digit winning football team. They made the playoffs. They lost first round, but with 5 starting quarterbacks, #1 defense, Myles Garrett's Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Jim Schwartz did an outstanding job with that Browns defense, top in the league. So yeah, getting them in the playoffs with 5 different quarterbacks is super impressive. So give me Jim Schwartz. And now, that is all we have for today's Unbiased Hard Take. So, I won that Assistant Coach of the Year award that was not scripted. However, JB, anything else you want to add?
For me, I don't see why Mike Tomlin is not one of the Coach of the Year candidates, where he had multiple injuries on offense and defense side of the ball, and having one of the best winning seasons in all of NFL. With having the team that he's had, with 3 starting quarterbacks, it follows my brain. And also the Steelers shouldn't even be in the playoffs this year, but you know what? He had a winning record. So, I mean, with all the talent and everything, with Matt Canada and everything else, I don't see why he's not one of the Coach of the Year. But he is not, which saddens me. And also other breaking news. We'd hired Arthur Smith, former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and I do not know how to feel about this pick. It is a question for me. It is a 50-50, so I want to see how it is. Even though the offense was playing pretty good when he was the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, it's just some questionable calls that he had. So we'll see how this progression goes. So that's all I have. So passing the mic over to Chandler.
And like, subscribe, hit the bell, like us on Facebook. Check out the Sports Fact of the Day. Again, the Packers still have not hired a defensive coordinator. We did fire Joe Barry, though. He was not an assistant coach of the year candidate. Hard to believe, right? So we did.
I'm surprised Matt
interview
Canada
Brandon
wasn't
Staley.
either.
Canada. No, but on a serious note, we did interview Brandon Staley amongst some other candidates. So we'll see who we hire. Can't be any worse than Joe Barry. So, no, Brandon Staley was a good defensive coordinator. He is not a good head coach. There's a big difference. You can be a good coordinator and a bad head coach. So, we'll see who we hire. Again, that's all I have. I'll end on this. Miami Heat, we got to pull some things out, man. It's not looking good. I'm a little worried. 2000, longest losing streak since 2008. We've lost 7 in a row. We got some work to do. Again,
Definitely need a lot of work to do.
that's all I got. So,
Until
until
next week.
Go Pack, go. Let's go Heat. Boiler up, baby.
And I'll end it on go Steelers, go Miami Heat, and go Purdue. See you next week, baby.
Pro Bowl week. Woo, Pro Bowl
Yay.
week. Woo.
See you next week.
See you guys next week.